Hello and thanks for joining us. This is your signature show, and I'm Vin Martin Obiora Ilo. Today, our main focus is the inauguration of the Strategic Framework for Cooperation between Nigeria and Republic of Ireland Legislative Friendship Committee of the House of Representatives. Our guest is Professor Paul Nnamchi, the Honorable Member representing Enugu East Issues of Federal Constituency and Chairman, Nigerian Ireland Legislative Friendship Committee in the House of Representatives. Honorable Nnamchi, you're welcome.
Thank you. My pleasure being here.
Yes, our main focus today is to talk about this new committee which you're chairing. But before we do that, there's so much on the plate of the National Assembly. There's so much that Nigerians think that the National Assembly should be concentrating on. And the first is the soaring food insecurity and rise in costs of living. You are in the National Assembly. What is your take? Is this what Nigerians bargained for? And what is National Assembly doing to see how they can stop this slide?
First, I would say no nation bargains for bad things or sliding in the economy. But a child of history would know that there is always the remote cause and there is also the immediate causes of each event. In the case of agricultural or food insecurity in the country, the National Assembly can do much, but at the same time, their work is more or less complementary. But I will draw you back to what happened the last 8 years, where there is a lot of insecurity in the areas where people could go and farm, and they were not able to go there. And these are the remote causes, where people couldn't go to their farm, where a lot of farmland were actually taken over by certain insecurity, and where you have a lot of strife within the polity. These things, when such things happen, you will infer that at some points there will be a shortfall in food, and there will be a shortfall in circulation of food. Remember, if you check, there was areas where people stopped bringing food from certain region to the other. There's sometimes where there is perishable. Sometimes we take decisions. We don't know where it leads us. But insecurity, more or less, will always lead to low economy, low food insecurity, or better or less, when those people don't farm. And more or less, these are areas where the food basket of the nation come from. Say like in Benue, Plateau, and a whole lot of others, Kano, Katsina, and also in the east and west. The resultant effect is that there won't be seeds, much food during the harvest. Or people are not harvesting.
I'm not interrupting you, but as much as I agree with you to some extent, I believe, and a lot of Nigerians also believe, that the leadership, which is like the driving force for whatever, be it the economy, be it agriculture, be it preventing insecurity, has also not planned properly. That previous governments didn't do as much as they should have done, that they should have foreseen this crisis. In the last 8 years of Buhari, in the 7 years of Jonathan, and probably in the 8 years of Obasanjo, that if someone was thinking ahead, maybe we won't be where we are today.
You are quite right. Well, if I bring you back again, that's when you look at the Western world most of the time, they do long-term plan. Nigeria has always been doing 4-year plan, 8-year plan at the most. Where the subsequent government comes, they abandon other people's policy and generate a new one. Government is a continuum. When it stops being a continuum, the problem continues to generate. If you don't solve one problem and start a new one, you've not found a solution to one problem, and they are generating a new one. That's what we are in. During that time, the insecurity never stopped during Buhari. Remember when people were shouting about food insecurity that will soon come, what we start seeing is rice pyramid. But this rice pyramid, nobody was told where the farm comes from.
You just saw the pyramid.
We just saw the pyramid. And the questions were subdued. The question, where is this food pyramid coming from?
Where is the trail?
Where is the trail of the food pyramid? These are most of the issues, or burning issues, where most times, where people should also have this culture of asking questions. And also a government of tolerance, where people ask questions. And also other people, the government will be kind enough to give the citizens the answer to what they're asking you. Because these people deserve answers. These people deserve good life. They deserve good governance. And part of good governance is when answering the people's questions.
Prof, let's leave the past. Okay. A lot of Nigerians are a little impatient with the blame game of who caused this, how did we get here? Let's talk about the present. You are a member of the National Assembly as we speak. Yeah. What is the Assembly? What is the Assembly doing? Because we have a crisis, and a lot of Nigerians are worried that one day Nigerians may be on the streets not because they want to be violent, but because they can't. You push someone to the wall, there's nowhere else to go. I mean, a bag of rice, I don't want to say how much it is because it's something out of this world. A bag of cement keeps rising. I think at the last count, I think it was 10,005 or 11,000. You buy something today, you go back the next day, it has increased by more than 50%. So what is the National Assembly doing? And don't tell me, oh, we have oversight, oh, we are not the executive. What is the National Assembly doing?
Well, first let me correct the impression that blame game. We are not blaming, and in my own nature, I don't like to blame people for today's problems. But when I was trying to make a point, I made a point on remote causes and immediate causes. For today, the thing is that I wouldn't say that people are learning on the job, but I would say that certain policies may not have clicked, and it's not also hasn't gone well as maybe the people that thought it would be. Because I always believe that any government should have the people's interests at heart. Having said that, there are certain things that I think the government should do. There is this notion that maybe if you start food imports, this will happen, this will not happen. But for God's sake, every nation imports food. And when you don't have enough, that's when you should import. I agree, the economy is not also helping matters. We know. So that you don't import also foreign inflation from other countries. But at the moment, you don't eat, you can't think. The people will not take it so long. Maybe have to create a window of certain importation, and maybe within that period. Because people that needs, if you don't have maize, you can't produce a lot of feeds for the livestock. And if you don't have those agriculture, the food chain is like an interconnected chains. That this one leads to this one, this one leads to this one. The ones we don't have, in the short term, we import. And still encourage our agricultural services. And also check insecurity. The National Assembly has just called, not quite long, the central bank governors and the people in the budget, Minister for Budget, and also the people, other people like FIRS, to explain the measures they are using to also bring back those, to check the cost of living and inflation in the country. The same way, the security chiefs, comprising the chief of army staff, the chief of air staff, the chief of naval staff, and also the minister of the defense chief, was brought for them to explain what is really their problem. Is it actually from the budget? What can the National Assembly do to ameliorate the problem, so that they will see, actually, that the National Assembly is going to perform its own functions as a complementary part of the executive. The National Assembly are ready and willing to be able to do their part to make sure those things happen. And that's why they were invited before and after budget, just to make sure that we are doing what we need to do to get that solved out. Then in terms of the food security, if you check, there was the budget, the agri budget is one of the highest today. And you continue to have prolifications of certain institutes, agri-institutes and others. One, we also need to know that some of our agri-institutes should be able to also up and doing, because you also need to research things. The ingenuity of having genetic modified food is because it was born out of how do ameliorate food insecurity. There are certain things we need to do, maybe from the research institutes, from the universities, to make sure that we create enough food for the people to eat. Nigeria is a very buoyant country. It's a country that has whatever it needs and whatever it takes to generate, to have whatever it wants to have, or even to leapfrog into developed nation. It's what we are at the moment lacking. It's things that will make, putting the round peg in a round hole, or square peg in a square hole. And that's, I think, I think that in a nutshell, I feel that the government should also look towards that.
Let me look at some of your suggestions.
Okay.
You've talked about a little window to bring in some food. Yeah. But this food will be out of the roof because the dollar, the naira, is so weak. How can the ordinary Nigerian be in a position to afford imported food right now, where naira is oscillating between 1,570, 1,600, just around that neighborhood? How can importation be a way out? And please, I'd like to add a little more. Okay. Instead of advocating for importation of food, is it possible to also, for the National Assembly and those in government, to see how they can temporarily ban some of those items that are not needs but wants? I'm talking about items like furniture. I'm talking about items like electronics. I'm talking about some categories of motor vehicles. Is it not better to ban some of this or reduce the importation of some of this so that to shore up the naira, so that even if we're going to do what you're suggesting, give some window for importation of food, it won't be so costly for the ordinary Nigerian?
Yes, what your suggestion is not bad, but let me just digress into it. Some of the problems we have is that we do what we don't want to do, and we don't do what we want to do. This is, for God's sake, why would people be importing furniture?
But there's so much furniture, and if you walk around Abuja, where we are, for instance, Honorable, you see the furniture shops, Chinese furniture shops, Turkish furniture shops, booming.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. These are areas you actually need to checkmate. But in the case of dollarization of importation of food in terms of dollar, most times the food Nigeria imports is from the Asian countries. If we can do crude swap to build railway, we can also do crude swap to get some grains into the country. We can also do this to get some seedlings that are quite quick to grow and easy to germinate.
Won't it be an indictment on these agricultural research institutes you're talking about?
It will also be a wake-up call that we need to do what we need to do. If you're indicting them, it is not an indictment. They should also produce their scorecard. If you produce your scorecard, in the case of furniture, Nigerians are doing well in producing furniture.
So why can't people like you come up with laws,
come
up with bills that would support, the furniture industry, and then reduce what we bring in from outside Nigeria?
There's enough laws in Nigeria. You know, sometimes most people say, do law this, do law this. Without checking if there's law already. There's a law banning some of those things. But it's only that implementation is the problem. There's a lot of laws, including that of furniture, where people make it a different...
But as an oversight institution,
yeah.
and you have this information,
Yeah.
what is National Assembly doing?
I want to refer you that the forestry is a state function, taking of woods and others. These things fall into those states' purview, that they check furniture, where the wood is coming, what is happening. And before the last year, I raised a bill on terms of trying to check those that the non-registered forest loggers and unregistered. We have the Chinese come here to take woods away from the country and bring it back as furniture. But over the law, we checked and found out this falls under the purview of the states in which those forests fall under. And that means the National Assembly is handicapped in this aspect. But that doesn't mean that you can't synergize to make sure that these things, that the country moves in the right direction, or getting the right laws also. But you couldn't say, let's remove it from this list and put it in the other list, because the states, I think they can also handle this. You can't just put the laws within the federal purview. Still, it's just not big enough that these ones will also be followed under. But I would also advocate that the certain things will do swap, that we don't need to do those also. But at the moment, you don't wait for the people to start. There is limit to which endurance in everything. I also feel that limit is what we are approaching, that elastic limit, and that's where there should be that a little bit of that window. One, I also want to remind you that even when this thing was done, we produced foods and they become more expensive than the one that are imported. These things need to be checked. So there's a lot. It's not about price control now, but you just know that you can collect loan, produce things, and decide to put the price as much as you can. We're a free market. We would like to operate a free market, but at the same time, we don't make it a licentiousness that people will just decide to give a certain price and then spend another, or form unions to exploit Nigerians. It's not the best.
But come on, Honorable. When you look at the businessmen, the traders, they go to markets, they buy an item 10 naira, they sell 12 naira. And just the next day, they go back to buy that item. They can't afford it because the thing has gone up astronomically. So how do you are not checking the fluctuation of the dollar or the naira, and then you want to force traders. Sorry, Honorable. You want to force the traders who have used their money, source the naira at the black market, and you say you are doing price control, and they are shutting down their shops.
No. I'm not talking of price control. I'm talking of the check on speculators. Let me give you this. Starting from the Buhari administration, the government gave out loans to farmers at a very low rate. These people, they made it so that it would be easier for them to produce food. The farmers now give it to some people that felt, okay, or some people, individuals, will go and buy it and speculate, store it, and bring it maybe when it's scarce. Now, the government is giving them loans, and soft in the case, as the case may be, to make it a bit. So the root cause of this should be checked. I'm not saying that you control the price in the market.
But yes, I agree with you. But let's use a shop in Abuja that they just shut down. This organization sourced the foreign exchange, sourced the items. There was no government intervention, and then one morning, government wakes up and shuts it down and say they are putting prices. How did they follow? Did they give them subsidized loans where they will now say, oh, we gave you subsidized loans, you can't sell at
the loan I'm talking about is the one given specifically to agricultural farmers or to farmers. And these are why I'm saying this is that These are the two. I'm actually driving at somewhere. And where am I driving at? I'm driving at a way you can get political farmers. People who will stay in Abuja and get loan as farmers. And they will not have a farm. You
are the guys in government.
No.
What are you doing?
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, you can't be more. I mean, what's the word now? You can't be complaining like me.
I am a Nigerian. I'm trying to tell you the evil in the system, and which some of us came in to solve. So that if there is such loan again, it will need to go to people who are farmers, people who will make use of it, and that is why, if the government is envisaging that there will be this amount of tons of these grains or these things in a year, and at the end of harvest, because people, remember, if you produce surplus, you will see it. If you don't produce it, you will see it in the market. Nobody keeps those food for too long a time, because it will also get rot. So the thing is that if government has given certain amount of loan, they also expect that this will produce certain amount of hectares of this plant or this food. So, and they also expect that this may be what will be the return.
Okay, Honorable, is the National Assembly concerned about the slide in the Naira? And if they are, what is National Assembly doing?
The National Assembly is more than concerned about the slide in Naira. First, they have just invited, about a week ago, the Central Bank Governor, the FIRS, the Minister of Finance.
And what explanation did they give to the National Assembly?
The explanation by the Central Bank Governor, though as far as it may, yes, it may, it is not going to be a short-term solution. But it's a long-term solution. But that's what he said. And the National Assembly are ready and willing to work with them to make sure that any tool they need in terms of lawmaking to grant their wishes, to make sure that they will come out from this wood we are today. Let me give you for instance. Now, this is we're placing this the economy in mathematical terms. As of this month, we are producing 1,400 or 1.4 million barrels per day. In this 1.4 million barrels, you take out 30%. That's for the companies, the oil companies. You take out 15% from after sales. That is for the maintenance of APC. So maintenance of NMPC. If you look at it, I'm not actually advocating that it is, but we also need to grow more things, have more export other than oil. We also diversify. Why I want to give you that of oil is this. So at the end, if you remove this 30%, we'll come at 980 barrels per day. Then we sell it at the cost of, let me just say, sell it at the cost of, let's say $100. If you sell it at this $100, you'll be given maybe 980,000 or so. You multiply it by 30 days. You now see what they now take as their dividing as part. That means they won't even get up to 1 trillion. And if you look at 1 trillion today, it is about 500 million yesterday in the last 4 years. So this is why what the government are getting today is actually less than what they got like last 4 years. And what do you need to do? The avenues to diversify economy. Because now, the oil is no longer enough. We have greater population. We have dwindling income. Unless we diversify economy from technology and agriculture at the same time. So this what you actually get today that they're showing us from is an increase from the internal generated revenue. This is in numbers. We just did it in numbers. So if you look at it in numbers, you find out that we are really in trouble. And what we want to do is how to get out of this trouble. And diversifying the economy, making sure that those leakages, and that's what National Assembly is all about, that these leakages don't continue. The mining industry, how do we get our revenue from those mining that is being done illegally by foreigners and by internal ones? How do we block leakages in terms of revenue mobilization?
Well, Prof,
how do we block leakages?
I am really excited that you are identifying the problems.
Yeah.
And I want to tell you that the ears of Nigerians are itching about solutions from those of you in the National Assembly and the executive. But the focus today really is on your committee, which inaugurated the strategic framework for cooperation between Nigeria and Republic of Ireland, Legislative Friendship Committee. And I want to ask you, why is this committee coming now?
Well, why now is always a question, but there will always be a time. Yeah, and this is just the time. There is always an innovation in the system. And thank God if that innovation comes and we have competent people to also advance it. In this case, Nigeria and Ireland have got a far-reaching relationships. Well, that stems from both diplomacy to large other areas. But they have shared history. So it's not a checkered history, but they also share things from the colonialization era. Just as Nigeria was colonized by Britain, Britain also colonized, Ireland also struggled to have their own independence in 1920. They had it quite late, I would say, because for people very close to Britain to have their independence in 1920, that's maybe 40 years before Nigeria. I wouldn't say it's too old or so. That's what I wouldn't equate it. I call it old. Then I also want to tell you that apart from sharing colonial era issues, Nigeria and Ireland also shared that having a little bit of war at some point and getting struggles to get their independence. And they also have this, so they have old relationship in terms of diplomacy. Nigeria is one of the first countries that Ireland opened their embassies in Africa. And at the moment, they are building one of their biggest embassies in Africa in Nigeria at the moment. You would also look at things, a lot of diplomatic ties between Nigeria and that. You also look at cultural ties. You also look at education. A lot of Nigerians are in Ireland studying. So so we are also importing our culture and also exporting theirs, because these people were the first people that also brought education to Nigeria. So it has been all good. The relationship between us has been that also good. There's also cultural relationships. There's also these economic engagements for a long time. There are also things about its insecurity. The island has had something about insecurity at some point. There are some conflicts that spans quite, that stops not quite long ago.
So there's so much we can learn from.
There's so much we can learn from each other. But that's not there's no challenges. There's also challenges. These challenges will be things like trade imbalance, because we import pharmaceutical things, machineries, other technological appliances, electronics and others. What we give to them is oil and gas, and maybe a little bit of agricultural produce, which unfortunately is not even enough for the country at the moment. So there's this trade imbalance that we think that these challenges will be also something we can also work on for Nigeria to have small SMEs that can also have things to export to Ireland and also have a very good relationship, because we have developed over the years. Nigeria and Ireland have developed a lot of relationship. Some of them were born here, some of them have stayed here 50 years. Some of them knew more Nigeria than they know Ireland. Some of them were also buried here. So Nigerians, you go there, a lot of Nigerians now are Irish. You have a lot of Nigerian communities there. So diaspora, we also have engagement with our diasporas that are there.
Let's look at what this strategic framework entails, because for me, I think that this is more engaging. You know, I mean, you're having more concrete plan and proposal for the relationship between the two countries. Yeah. When you met with the ambassador of Ireland about a couple of days back, what did you focus on? What was the discussion?
Well, the discussion first and foremost was about legislative engagement. And in legislative engagement, we have a lot to learn from Ireland, and they also need also to have learn from us, because learning is a two-way process. You learn from them, they learn from you. You also modify yours, they modify yours. You can help each other in that angle. But we also know that their democracy has lasted longer than ours. So there are things to learn from them. There is also things that will have engagement in terms of continue, the two legislative arms meeting each other. There are also these of where the businessmen also can also engage themselves. We'll also bring in people at different chambers of commerce to come into that. I will also tell you that the Ireland Minister of Economy will also be visiting Nigeria on the 17th of March. That's St. Patrick's Day. Well, these are part of it. So Nigeria start looking at what we can do together. There's a lot of things. Ireland has the privilege of having one of the largest companies here. And these largest companies, something like Guinness, it has Pricewater is there. These are companies that are well established in Nigeria. That means they are not just well established, but they're entrenched in our system today. And they also pay taxes. They also generate income for the country and also for Ireland. There are areas we can learn from them. What we need mostly is stability. How can we learn the stability in the security from them? What can we learn in agriculture and also export from them? Where can we also import each other's culture? Because Ireland is a rich cultural country. And that's where you see. They also have this problem of jackpot system. Ireland is one of the first countries that has also jackpot in the past.
Okay. We'll take a break and bring some shots of your interaction with the Irish ambassador at the inauguration of the strategic framework. Don't go away. This is Signature Show, and there'll be more after you watch this. Thanks for remaining with us. This is your Signature Show. And my guest is still Professor Paul Nnamchi, the Honorable Member representing Enugu East Issues of Federal Constituency in the House of Representatives. Professor Nnamchi is also the Chairman of the Nigerian Ireland Legislative Friendship Committee in the House. Yes, before we took some highlights of your strategic framework inauguration, you were talking about the gains of this relationship. Yeah. So, in the area of education, in the area of tourism, in the area of technology, in the area of the new way, AI, how are we engaging?
That's and that's why this committee is trying to do. As I said, we can learn a lot from them, just as they would learn from them. The part of this that we just said is that we wanted cultural and educational exchanges that will also be happening. We also have to learn from them, because there's also a couple of Nigerians who have traveled, even when our people we might not know that very well, that a lot of us have left the country due to one reason or the other. Ireland is one of the people that there are people left the country in the area because there's a lot of famine, just at some point in life, and there's a lot of crisis, and that's why you have a lot of Irish people. They have very big population of
in the USA?
Irish people, not just in the USA, but other parts of the world. And that forms greater part of their income generation. So Nigeria can learn a lot. How are they managing that huge amount of people that have traveled, huge. What is their investment? What is their linkage back home? Or they just go. You will see that St. Patrick's Day has become a worldwide event. And even on the 17th, it will be done in Nigeria. That's what it means, is that there is also a gain to the country by the people going out. And so that the people are proud to say, you could see people like Hillary Clinton flouting his Irish descent with on St. Patrick's Day wearing green, having green on his neck or her neck. You could see people like Barack Obama going back to wear that on that day, and the Kennedys as well. These are people that have traveled and they also made a home somewhere that have been blessed, not just making a home. The Kennedys and a whole lot of them. And so also in other parts of the world.
Even Biden.
Even Biden, just to say. They not just did the travels, but they became useful in the land of their sojourn and also generate things. They help to resolve crises in their own home country. You'll notice that Clinton was a greater part of the influence that signed the famous Good Friday Agreement. These are not far from
Northern Ireland.
In Northern Ireland. These are things you can gain from your people being in the diasporans. These are diaspora their values, they're innumerable. This is part of it. This is part of the things we can gain. Then in terms of technology transfer, if we make it easier for people to go for scholarship, they will learn new things and bring back home. We can also have some school exchanges. We will also learn research. We can also have background research activities, both in tech and for other things. In agriculture, they are good in agriculture. We can also have a sharing exchange of different crops. One of the famous things we have in Ireland is their potato, which was famously known that people took away from them and that resulted in famine. So these are things we can share together. Apart from this, we'll also create a monitoring, a review framework, so that you also check how have we done, what do we need to do further. Because most of the time, when people don't go forward, because they don't check where they have been, what are the gains, what are they need to modify. I'll also try to say that the journalists those of you covering the National Assembly, you also learn what can you learn from other people. Well, there's a framework where also the journalists will be trained to cover the activities of the National Assembly, so that the people can have the maximum benefit of what they are actually eating to have of democracy.
I am really interested in something you said. The trade imbalance, which is prevalent in our relationship with Ireland. How do you think we should address it? Because if you look at it, we import petroleum, and then we import what I could call raw materials. Is there a way we can start, kind of manufacturing, where we don't just send raw materials, we can also send finished product, which actually attracts more money?
By profession, I'm an engineer. And having said that, I also want you to look at something. Trade imbalance can only be corrected with this type of moves. Where the country will see, why don't we, if we see where we can help each other, come and build this company here, instead of us going to buy it. Maybe at some point you can bring their research, but there we'll generate employment. We'll start bringing those things that were important, that creates trade imbalance, are being produced in the country. At a point, it becomes homemade. I will give you an instance with their famous beer, Guinness. When they started during the colonial era, they were bringing Guinness direct from Ireland to Nigeria. But they found out that Guinness takes about 1 week, on about 2 months to be here, and initially. So before it gets to Nigeria, it becomes almost like
expired?
It's expired or less a good product. So what they do, they now have to increase the quality. So it gets to Nigeria, in a better quality than it could have been. And so that before it gets to Nigeria, it will always be the normal quality you get in Ireland. And because that is being done, after some time, the shipping time reduced to about 2 weeks. But still the same quality comes. And what did it happen? The Nigerian Guinness has now been exported as Nigerian Guinness, even to Ireland, and even Britain and other parts of the world. They now sell Nigerian Guinness. Not because the quality has become a trademark of Nigeria, no longer that of Ireland. These are the areas you can use to shortcut imbalance. That is one. Then another one, this is apart from building the company there, is another one, is to generate research, to share research results in one way or the other, or to collaborate. But at the same time, build industries, give them enabling environment for those instead of imported. And also, when you give them an enabling environment, they will come and establish. And that becomes a way of stranding it. Instead of importing, they have their gain here, but those things are being produced here. Then another aspect, which is the third one, is that instead of exporting our used products and importing the finished products, we'll start processing those products here. Say like the hide skin, you use it to produce shoes. Say like the plants, you use it to produce pharmaceuticals. And you also have here, this industry will start to grow. Our machinery start to grow. And this capital flight will start being here instead of going. So there's a lot of ways we can help each other.
Let's talk about culture, because it's something you raised. Is there a conscious effort to export our culture, especially the big product that we have today, our musicians and what have you? I've not heard them performing in places like Ireland. Is it something your committee would like to promote?
I think you actually hit the nail at the head, because you've not heard it, but if you go to Irish nightclubs, you will not live in a night without hearing 2 or 3 Nigerian songs, or even more, because we have a large community of Nigerians. Some Nigerians now own clubs in Ireland. I'm thinking that we'll have one of the largest ethnic groups in one of the largest immigrants in Ireland. I'll give you one instance. There was the Irish embassy held some award for poets by students. Guess what? We have 5 from Nigeria, 10 from Nigeria, 10 from Ireland. And those 10 coming from Nigeria, 3 were Nigerian-born Irish people.
Those that were coming from Ireland?
Yes. 3 were Nigerian-born Irish people. So these are a kind of cultural. So you go there, you say that our Nigerians who don't live our culture, you know that very well. But we always do this, and it continues to flourish. A lot of our film industry is booming, and when you hear something in the UK, it's just they are neighbors. Those people enjoying here is also enjoying it there. It's just that probably what we need to do is to do a bit of more of the image making for people to know that Ireland has whatever it takes to showcase Nigerian artists, whatever it takes to give them they give them a boost in Ireland. And they will also enjoy it, because it's the same civilization that you get in other America, you get in that, because they're also the same people. And more or less, Irish people are very friendly. There is this famous thing I want to say in Ireland, that they don't have strangers. What they have is friends you never met before.
Can we talk more about educational exchanges?
Yeah.
Is there an intentional effort? I know that we've had stuff like that before. Is there an intentional effort to increase, the number of our students who go to Ireland on exchange programs, and maybe our lecturers will go there for their sabbaticals, and university personnel from there also coming back here. Is this something your committee would like to promote?
Yes, because I also think that that's, from my background, I was forced from Nigeria to come back after reading overseas, I've been in academics overseas. But I also have seen the both sides of the aisle and seen that we also need a fresh technology coming into us, but also need refresher things from the other side of that. Moreover, but we also want them to know about us, that we're also having good education here. Nigerian education has produced also people that have gone out to do great things on air, like the Chinua Achebes, the Chimamandas, the Shoyinkas. These are Nigerians that have made waves in academia. We also people like Batten, Nigeria, people like Emma Agwali, them. These are Nigerians have done well. So I wouldn't condemn our education per se. What I would want to say is that there will be a cultural exchange for people to know. We also need to showcase that our education is just as bad, but the only thing that we'll go out to share ideas, to have what we don't have, but also to inform the people that we're also not doing badly in the country. Because if our people will go out and still catch up, we should also know what we need is a bit of modernization, a bit of innovation, a bit of entrepreneurial prowess, to have people to start building things out of the education. So that there will be results, there will be employment generated from people who have also finished their school. I'll give an instance. When I finished from University of Sheffield, I noticed that if you read brewery, every year they produce a brewer. Because one or two students will be given their a patent to start producing beer or wine. On this patent, the school shares and gives part of the money to them to go. After 5 years, you see some of them have become household name beers. And people start to do it. These are things we are lacking. How do you encourage also people coming from school to not just look for white-collar job, but to develop into entrepreneurship? The school has a share. The government has also a share to make this workable. In the workability, you also know that these people will also generate employment. And these people also need to be encouraged. But the people also need to show responsibility on what has given to them. Because also see those, we also look at things. We have Nigerians give people scholarship and they don't come back. It's also bad at the challenges also you have. So these are things we will marry and see how we can review to cut it short.
Okay, I would like to thank you so much. And I think one of the things we'll be taking away on a lighter mood from this conversation is that if we go to Ireland, we are not going to be strangers, but we are going to be meeting people that we had not seen before.
The friends we have not seen before.
The friends we have not seen before. But finally, before we go, I mean, at the beginning of this last week, there were a lot of mixed feelings with Nigeria's performance at AFCON. And I know that you are a big enthusiast of the Super Eagles. What was the significance of the entire process in Côte d'Ivoire for you?
The takeout for me would be the performance of Nigerians were very, very good. But the takeout, I would say, is that you should, that whenever we field people based on merit, we'll also have results. But another one would be what they would say. There's also strengths. Yeah, that if whenever we are united, the sky, our limit is not even the sky; it's quite higher. And also, I'll give you another Irish adage: that without unity, there's no strength. So if we have unity, we'll always have strength.
So that was what was represented in Côte d'Ivoire?
Yes, that's it.
Well, a good place for us to end today's show. Professor Paul Nnamchi, I'd like to thank you for coming and to say that we're always here to help you push this a strategic framework. Professor Paul Nnamchi is the Honorable Member representing Enugu East issues of Federal Constituency and Chairman of the Nigerian Ireland Legislative Friendship Committee in the House of Representatives. And that's our package for today. I'm Vin Martin Obiora Ilo in Abuja, Nigeria. Don't forget that you can watch this particular edition of our program again and then have the opportunity of watching our older programs if you follow us to signaturetv.org, and if you also follow us on our different social media handles. Until same time next week, bye for now.